So ideally this should be feeding into the Titans of Alterra YouTube channel. And it looks like it is. See if I can hear it. Doesn't sound too bad. Okay. All right. Here we are. I'll go ahead and grab a link. See here. Is that like a link? Is that a link to share? I go like, let's see if that works. If I try and share it, does that go someplace crazy? No, yeah, it goes someplace crazy. Okay. How do I share the proper link? It's been so long since I've done anything with YouTube. All right, let's do... back. Let's see here. Okay. Happening live. What are we looking at? Okay, there we go. Okay. Now I've got a link. Very impromptu stream. Yes, sir. Night Zero. Properly the first person to show up with a 0 in your title. Okay. I think I grabbed the link. I'm going to go pop this over on Discord so everybody knows. Pop, 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 pop. Jumping on. Jumped on a live stream just now. There we go. Hey everybody. Coming through pretty quiet. That makes sense because I'm not projecting, and I'm standing a decent way away from my microphone because it doesn't reach as far. You don't see it, but I have a huge table in front of me because I'm working on origami. Because I'm a very, very nerdy person. If you have been watching Titans and you have not queued in how nerdy I am, let me tell you, I'm pretty darn nerdy. Let's see here. Looks like stream bitrate, something kind of is lower than the recommended bitrate. So I might be coming through kind of funky maybe. What do you think, everybody? Am I coming through funky? Hey. Hi, Jonathan. All right, I'll try and project. Let me see here. Still just getting set up. Let's see here. How about now? How's this? Is this any better? Check 1, check 2. It's going to take like a beat before I see. Okay, sound fine to you. To you, whose name I'm having trouble even... To Rye. It looks like Rye. Sounds fine to Rye. Hold on. Might have to leave the stream quickly here if the children aren't sleeping. All right, let me see here. Okay. Hey, everybody. I hope you're having a chill evening. My evening is chill. The children went to bed, came upstairs, and I was like, I'm going to see if I can set up the live stream stuff. I don't have any real, like, big news or anything like that. This is absolutely just to kind of get it set so that I can do this. I gave absolutely no heads up that I was doing a live stream. And and my camera's probably a little blurry because it's all the way over there, and I don't know that I care to go back and forth enough. I tried to set it so that it would focus here, but I can finesse the details of that upon a later date. So yeah, welcome everybody. My goal here is just to have the live stream going and work a little bit on my origami. I was gonna just come up here and sometimes relax. I do origami, and so I'm working on. Guess what I'm currently. I feel like nobody's gonna guess what origami I'm working on, just because I feel like it's not readily apparent. I could be doing an origami of anything because there's origami models of like every animal in existence. If somebody nails it, I'll be surprised. But give me like a guess of what you think I am origamiing. And I'll tell you the book I'm currently reading out of. I don't think I can stream it. I feel like that's improper. I have like 3 origami foxes I've done in the last like 2 weeks. So that was actually a very good guess. Not a fox. The book I'm working out of is the origami works of Kyohei Katsuda. I think this is, what is this? Which volume is this? The first one. Okay, I think this is the first one. Let's see if I can find a published date. January 2020, it looks like, is when this one came out. Lion. No, I've not done a lot of lions. I actually don't know that I've done a single origami lion. Now that I'm thinking about it. They're hard because there's so much body to the lion and the mane. The couple lion origami models I've seen just look really, really, it's hard to distinguish what's going on in the image. No, I'm working on a model that I have done before, and failed miserably once, failed okay another time, and here's where it is currently at. So it's this paper's called Washi Deluxe. It's gold on one side, colored on the other. Incredibly thin, pretty durable as far as like origami paper is concerned. Have I ever done a married origami lion? Definitely not. I have no idea. I took my glasses off to read it better because I feel like I'm misreading, and everything turned blurry because I need my glasses to see. Yeah, you said married. No, I'm doing a unicorn, gang. I am doing a really, really freaking cool unicorn. Oh my goodness. The dad jokes have begun. Thank you, Elizabeth. I did not realize that was set up for a dad joke. I took it as sincerity. So thank you. Welcome everybody. So yeah, I'm trying to just like, I'll try and stay close to the microphone. I feel like it probably sounds better if I'm over here. But I really, I want to get back into the swing of creating content. I kind of want to get back into the swing of Titans, but it just feels like going in cold isn't very fun. So just trying to work things out and fill my way into getting started back up again. So here we are. All right. And if anybody has the origami works of Kiyohi Katsuda, it's got a big origami owl on the front, like a really cool looking owl, which I have done. But I'm currently working on the unicorn that starts on page 164, created in 2018. And let's see here. All right. That's what I'm doing, but I'm not going to talk about origami the whole time. I'm here to talk about Titans, and if you guys have any questions about Titans of Altera, the podcast, and what's going on. I thought about the whole making a whole like podcast episode explaining the irregular publishing over the last year, or any of the other craziness, I suppose, or lack of craziness. I guess it really depends. I don't know how everybody feels about it. I'm not really interested in diving super deep on how everybody feels. That sounds kind of callous. But I think there's I'm okay with however anybody feels. It's been dark for a long time. I published 2 episodes last month, and I think 1,500 downloads for each of them, which was unexpected. So there's clearly still people who are paying attention and wanting to see what happens, and so and the Patreon still has a small dedicated group. So I haven't abandoned that by any means. Yeah, there are still some things going on. It's nice to see you're still around. Yeah, we are. We're still around. There were lots of reasons to just never come back to podcasting the D&D stuff with the pandemic and then having babies, having children. But I like making stuff. I like playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm still connected with a pretty tight community of folk who make D&D podcast content, and I'm man, I'm guesting on stuff that's going to be coming out in the next couple months. Not all D&D, some other tabletop RPGs, but other podcasts, and it felt like I should release some of my own stuff and get back into the swing of making my own stuff. Since I'm going to be having episodes coming out on other shows, it only felt right. Okay, so where did I leave off? I'm at step 39. For those following along at home. Let's see here. Okay, so this is crazy. I've fallen in love with origami in the last 2 years. It has become one of my legitimately a passion. It is something I pursue consistently. How you have hobbies that you pick up and you're this is my new thing now, and then a week later you've bought all this stuff for it and you're not doing that hobby anymore. That is not origami for me. I am so still into it, and it's been 2 years, 2 years. I love it. I love when new books come out. I actually keep track of where books, newly published origami books. I got the Chinese origami group came out with a book called Dancing in the Flowers, or Dancing with the Flowers. It is a book of some of the best, some of the absolute best. What's what I'm looking for? Butterfly origami models I'd ever seen, and so that was a really, really exciting, super fun book. For me, someone who likes origami and thinks butterflies are really, really beautiful and special. What kind of hobbies did you guys develop in the last 2 years? Anybody else out here, like, I'm a full-grown adult and still finding new things to be excited about creatively? Excuse me. Okay. Rabbit ear fold. So, I felt like the last episode of Titans we put out is one of my favorites. Episodes 9 and 10, really. It's surprisingly those episodes are 3 different recording sessions. Hey, nice. Playing games with your wife? Why do you have me on? Why are you here? Focus on your wife, Jonathan. Unless you're both here, then welcome. Hi. If you're both Titans listeners, that's cool. That's really cool, actually, because, like, the majority of the Titans cast are married to each other. That sounds weird when I say it like that. You know what I mean. Relnor and Winnie. Joan and the Dungeon Master. Well, Jonathan, tell your wife I said hi, and tell her that I told you to stop focusing on the stream and spend time with your wife. Oh, right on. That's really cool. I always approach, whenever, like, a spouse gets into a hobby that the other spouse is, like, deeply immersed in, I'm always skeptical of the legitimacy of that interest. And not with, like, the kind of focus of, like, where's the falsehood here? No, with, like, the focus of, like, are they actually interested, or are they just, like, a really, really caring and loving person? Because, like, how cool is that? If they aren't actually interested in the hobby, but, like, they dive into it because they care about you and what you like, that's bonkers. That's so cool. I feel like that is a Gottman, a psychologist who studies relationships, whose books I have read some, because I'm a weird person. Talks about the whole making bids, and that a lot of times it's that can be a really fundamental exchange. Is we're constantly making bids in our relationships for interaction, for interest, to share, and picking those up is such a huge sign of health when like you actually are like, yeah, I'm gonna care about the things that you care about, not expressly because you care about them. Like, that's really, really freaking cool. Oh gosh, this is such a complicated fold. Fold corner to corner and assemble using the creases. Okay. All right. So I know that that's going to fold like this, and this is going to fold like this. I feel like I'm doing it wrong already. What's the finished product look like? All the way to the top. Okay. Yes. There we go. Yep, I got you. Message received. Just like that. And then, no, back up. When you're working with really nice paper, if you like try and attempt to fold too many times, you screw it up. So I'm at this point in the fold, and I don't know how origami could translate. I don't have the camera on the origami, but I'm supposed to fold this in and put this tip up to here, and then fold the rest of this somehow. I've done it before. This isn't the part that's held me up before, so I don't know why it's holding me up now. Okay, so if this is the way, then I think what's hard is I have to do it on both sides. Okay, and I know what it's supposed to look like, so that's how we'll proceed forward. Yes. No. You're like, all right. Follow the lines, Joshua. Follow the lines. We've got a triangle here, okay, and a bend on that triangle. And I'm close. I'm close to doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm very close to it. Oh, I feel like that's really close. Oh, that's an in. Man, I gotta pay attention to the text. That was an in-process picture. So, if I'm trying to make the final thing look like the in-process picture, I'm gonna miss the actual move. Okay, there we go. One side, other side. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Here we go. God, it's a full-on absolute burst of serotonin. Is that the right word? When you get it. It feels so freaking good. All right. So that was the squash. Now we're moving on to the edges. Creasing the edges. Okay. Okay, just a crease then. And fold along the creases after you flip around. So, Titans. Titans of Altera. It's this weird thing where I love what we've made, but I do think that there were some decisions I made just being a young in the podcasting space, really, and I think sometimes I move really fast, and it benefits me to move fast. And sometimes I move very quickly, and it expressly does not benefit me. And I think the naming Titans, what I've named it, I think the show could always have been Titans of Altera. I think the podcast feed needs a different name because it's never going to show up on anybody's feed who's looking for it or who's looking for D&D content. It's going to show up on everybody who's looking for podcasts about the character Terra on the Teen Titans. Oh, man. Thanks, Elizabeth. That's really nice. You just started listening last week? Holy moly. You're at the Battle of the World Bridge. Okay, listen. That was the best that we did. Soak it up. Some may disagree. I think we have a lot of fun throughout season 2. And the story, I think, continues to be interesting. But in terms of, narrative satisfying moments, I'm just going to grab that moment. The war at the World Bridge is I'll be chasing that high for a long time. I loved that arc, and I really liked Orang. I don't know what it was, what made me decide to do that, have that like that moment where they legitimately talk to each other. Gold. I loved that decision so much, because like getting to hear them interact with him was so fun. And then getting to play him and his whole just like prophecy. I'm so proud of that line. I'm not ashamed to admit that I like my own work. My brother will make fun of me for that. Because it is like a bit of like a butthole thing to be like pleased with yourself for your own thing. But I'm really proud of that stuff. And I don't know. I'm done with the whole pretending to, I don't know, not be excited about the things that I'm doing. I don't do it if I'm not excited about it, really. So, yeah, the Orang arc was really fun, and I liked playing Orang. I think part of, like, it's so funny that, like, as a DM, I really have begun to just create NPCs I want to be rather than really like any other reason. It's just like I want to be this character. I want to play this role. I mean, that's the fun, right? Is you really get away with that as a DM. You can just, you're like, yeah, I want to be a super cool orc guy that is very convinced that he can save the whole world by himself and fix all the wrongs that have been done, and he's doing it in a very belligerent way that is actively causing a war and unwittingly aiding really, really bad forces in the world. And so there's a space in the desert of southern Altera that, like, he's the good guy of the story. I don't think he's a good guy. I think he is very much ends justify the means, and very low value for life. But with your back against the wall, a lot of people will think a bad decision is a good decision. This is Uneducated Psychology Corner with Dungeon Master Joshua. It is like it is kind of silly. I go with my gut a lot, and I think sometimes it makes sense, and sometimes it absolutely does not. But you just gotta follow your gut. There's one like 7 or 8 episode arc that I recorded on somebody else's podcast that's still getting edited, and I'm not gonna say who because I can't wait to share it when the time comes. It is probably one of the most unhinged characters I've ever played in terms of like motivations, but like in terms of the actual role play, really, really sharp and mellow. But the motivations and the final decisions and the way that the character moves throughout the story is bonkers. And I'm listening. They're sending me each episode as they're getting edited, and I get to listen to them just myself. And yeah, it's a weird thing. I love it though. I love it. To me, it's like I get to go back and relive this really fun experience I had as a player. With Sneak Attack, it's hard because I was also the editor, and so I'm hearing a lot of editorial decisions that I didn't like. But Okay, I see what we're doing here. We are tucking. Fold the corner behind. Down. There we go. And then back down on top. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm folding a unicorn from the works of Kiyoshi Katsuda. Let me see if I can. Here. There we go. That's what I'm doing. What's my background with acting and improv? It's not as rich as you might think. I've always loved improv, and I've always been a bit of a ham my whole life. So that's a story that many people share, especially people who play D&D. I acted in high school, and I think I joined the theater in high school my junior year, and I remember falling so in love with everything about it that it was actively something that I was bummed I didn't get into right away. I loved it. I didn't mind at whatever degree of character I was playing, whether it was like a bit character, a side character, a single. I loved the whole experience. I thought it was super, super fun. I got to play a crazy dad who like did fireworks in the basement in one play, and we rigged up the door with smoke so that every scene I was in, before I came out, you'd hear a boom and then smoke would come out from behind the door, and then I would just swing the door open like Kramer from Seinfeld, releasing smoke. And whenever we did a play, on like the very last performance, you did like some for the students at the school, and then you had like performances for family and friends, several of those, and then there was like the very last performance, and the teacher who's directing the play was always like, he hated this, but everyone, it was like the secret rule that like you just go as hard as you can with every joke. You throw people curveballs. The final performance, you just put everything on the table that you maybe have like gone reserved on at all. And I was such a ham that I would just I would make myself new scenes. There's a pivotal scene in that one where I'm the crazy firework dad from the basement, and the love interests, the male and female lead. My friend was the male lead, and they're having this moment where they're starting to connect, and and I think I was the father of the daughter. And this is like the whole play takes place in their house, and they're on the couch talking or something like that, and I had the effects people rig up the door for an extra enter. And so, without any warning, they had no idea. Big boom, smoke coming out, and I pop out of there completely unexpectedly and start improvising a whole scene with them. And I go, so what are your intentions with my daughter? And he's looking at me like, but he played along. It was a beautiful thing. Yeah, I thought about getting into, I've looked into like the local scene here, like the Playhouse, and that kind of stuff, just because it is so satisfying and fun to perform. But the hard thing is just how much time you have to invest in that stuff. In terms of improv, I think I'm so late to the game when it comes to like the improv scene and improv as an actual like artistic expression and creative comedic tool. Uh, I adore improv. I think it is so cool and so fun. But I have a relatively like small history with improv. I mean, the deepest improv, like my improv roots go as deep as Whose Line Is It Anyway? So like, yeah, like that's not very deep. That's, I think, most people. But I have since really adored improv, and my wife and I, throughout our marriage, have gone to several improv shows. I think one in Chicago was we did Second City. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful form of art and humor that I also think that improvers are it's the peak of performance. I don't think you get better performers. If someone's really good at improv, I think that means they're going to be a good actor. I think it means they'd be better at stand-up comedy. I think they'll probably tell better stories. It's just like, it's such a difficult skill to be good at. You have to be clever. You have to be fast. You have to trust your gut. You have to work with what you've got. Sometimes, you have a good bit. And you have to and you have to fail all the time. You have to be so willing for a joke not to land and then move on. Or you can be prepping a joke, but then somebody you're working with like beats you to the punchline or ends a different way because it's all happening right there. Yeah, it's really fun. That's what I love about D&D. So like, yeah, really, like, Dungeons and Dragons has been my most, like, in terms of practicing the craft of improv, just playing D&D is probably the most, like, active, like, practicing of that craft I've done, is just playing the game of Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, which is not, let's be clear, that is nothing like actually being an improv performer. So I'm not looking for that heat. But yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like to think I'm okay at it. The ICAST Fireball crew, some of them, I think they actually like did improv together when they were younger, or even like still do at like a local place or something in Utah. I'm not sure. They're legitimate improvers. Like, that is, they, like, before every recording, they do some actual like little like improv games to just get their heads in the right space. So that was really fun when I guested on that show, because not only did I get to like play this super fun, wacky elf wizard rogue thing guy that was really fun, but I got to hang out with these really cool people and do some really fun improv stuff that like was just for us to get us in like the headspace. And yeah, that was really fun. Huge shout out to them. If you haven't checked out ICAST Fireball, check them out. The arc that my character's on is, I think it starts at episode 56, and I think their whole backlog is worth checking out. I think they have a great show, but they've stated that you can jump in right at where I show up, and follow from there. But I think, and maybe that's right. I mean, the story does really pick up after that point, but I don't think the story was slow before then. I think it was just their characters were finding their footing, and after the little arc that I joined, stuff really started hitting the fan. Like, it really was like the urgency, I feel like, kind of started popping off. They're completely family friendly. No language in the whole series on ICAST Fireball. So I think Thomas, the Dungeon Master, has mentioned that, like, that was one of the things he liked about Sneak Attack, was that it was family friendly. What I really like about them as a show is that every single member of the cast is like responsible for something. Like they're all contributing to the content creation and the structure of it, while also being like performers and putting like a lot of heart into their characters. But yeah, there is like, that's the same with Sneak Attack though. Like Sneak Attack was never sold as being a family show. I think people get dismembered like in Sneak Attack. So yeah, kind of follow that thread. It's no worse than Sneak Attack. So, but yeah, really great group of people. They're the editor is one of the cast members, Mickey, and she does an amazing job. She's a much better editor than I am. With that audio, she does incredible work. Okay, where are we here? That was a big fold I just did. I wasn't even paying attention if I was supposed to do it like I just did. I just did it. Okay. So, okay. And then we're here. And here's where we're at now, everybody. This is going to be a beautiful unicorn. So yeah, this is what I do to unwind in the evening. A little bit of origami. Work with my hands, not doing something digital. It's very nice. All right, what's this going to look like? Okay, so it's going to look like this. Yeah. All right. Anybody seen Dune yet? How are we feeling? What do we think? What do we think about Dune? Everything I'm hearing about Dune is that it's what I want it to be. If you have not seen the first one, you have to check it out. Oh my goodness. It's so good. The books are like staple sci-fi, or like old school sci-fi. I've never read them. I think it would be hard for me to read them because I just love dialogue so much. But the movie was apparently made very, very faithfully to the source material, and not even knowing the source material, I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. And yeah, like I said, everything I'm hearing about the second movie is just making me think it's going to be fantastic. Even any negative and positive reviews, like wherever angle it's coming from, it's what I want to hear. That's fair. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I feel like that stuff would go way above your head. My favorite author in the whole world is Ursula K. Le Guin, and The Wizard of Earthsea, the Earthsea Cycle. Those books are like that is the core of my like love for fantasy. It hits everything really, really profoundly, and I've reread the Earthsea Cycle, I think, like 5 times. They're not huge books, so it's really easy. like so every year at least I go through the whole cycle, but then sometimes I'll just get on a kick and want to listen to Wizard of Earthsea or The Tombs of Atuan or The Farthest Shore. Those three are were kind of the core trilogy for a long time. And I find new stuff to take out I find new things to love about those books every time I read them. It's like I read Wizard of Earthsea when I was in my early 20s, and I thought it was just the coolest like wizard book. and then I got married. I was starting to like deconstruct some unhealthy masculine habits of mine and like perspectives, and I remember rereading it and being like, oh my goodness, like some of these good ideas are right here, hidden. Like they're not hidden, they're just like I just wasn't healthy enough to see them. If that makes sense. And now I remember reading it after my first daughter was born, going back and reading the Wizard of Earthsea, and it hit in a whole new way. And then when I remember reading The Tombs of Atuan, especially like as a father, the lead character in there is a young woman, and good Lord, it hit me hard. So yeah, I can't talk enough about how incredible Le Guin's literary chops are. I loved her fantasy books, like nothing else. Okay, let me make sure I'm getting this. I have to get these curves right. Okay, so we're creating this little rabbit ear fold, pinching the closing layers. Okay, so then I have these. I feel like this is something I'm definitely going to get wrong. Okay. All right, and you want me to do what here? Okay, walk in the triangle. Walk in that triangle. Yep. Okay. And there it is. All right, I'm super focused on Sorogami right now. Sanderson is one of my favorites. Absolutely one of my favorites. When I say that I prefer listening to dialogue, he scratches that itch better than anybody. His books are so dialogue heavy. The world building gets explored through the dialogue. Like it's awesome. I love those books. Absolutely love them. Eat them up. Give me all of the Sanderson books. And the dude is just a writer. Like, he just goes for days. He can't help but write. I think he just announced like more books. The dude is a fiend. He's a writing fiend. Yeah, he's absolutely bonkers. How much this dude writes. Okay, so we have this here. Are these both here? Like this? Yeah, okay. And then it's that. And this. Like that. No. Yeah, it's like all the way up. And then go. Yeah, I think this needs to be wider. Let's try that. Another one back. Favorite Sanderson book? That's a tough question. That's actually a really hard question. My favorite Sanderson book. Shoot, man. Put me on the spot. Favorite Sanderson book. Gotta be. What is my favorite Sanderson book? Okay, so the corner needs to come all the way down. So I just need it. It needs to be a longer triangle. I see. Okay, like that, of course. This is not a sharp fold here. It's not as sharp as I would like it to be. We will make it work. Sometimes you just gotta make the paper do what you want it to do. Final thing should line up there. And tighten up here, gang. I'll show you where I'm at once I get this fold done. Anybody want to talk about Titans? Favorite Sanderson book was what I was going to answer until I got distracted by my origami. Favorite Sanderson book's gotta be... How do you define favorite? Let's define that first, because my favorite Sanderson book, or the one that I listen to the most, that I've listened to the most, like repeatedly, is probably Stormlight Archive. I feel like that's not a surprise to anybody in the world. I think I've read Stormlight Archive like 4 times all the way through, perhaps. Okay, did I do it right? Did I do it right, gang? Let's see here. This. Right. There we go. Yeah. I'm putting this paper through the paces. This is going to be a very flimsy unicorn, I think. Message redacted. Are you sending links? I think I have it set up so you can't send links. The one I most fondly remember reading? Easy one to answer, because it's like once you've read it, you can't it can't be the first time again. I think the one that surprised me, that caught me off guard, and I ended up liking it a lot more than I anticipated I would, was the audio dramatization of the comic book The White Sand. It's part of the Cosmere, so it's not disconnected from the Stormlight Archive completely, or Mistborn. I do think Mistborn was my first. It's a lot of people's first, I think, introduction to Sanderson is Mistborn. The Mistborn trilogy is really good, and it's very it's very succinct as a story. You can really listen to that. You can go through that story and nothing else and be fine. You don't. It's like you can okay, I'm done. Don't have to do anything else. Or you can jump off of there and go real deep, like I did. Okay. Now we're doing a really crazy fold. Okay. But we did a lot of prep folding. I did a lot of prep folding so that I could do the big folds easy. So here's a rat. You might be able to see the horse shape evolving. I believe this will become the head and mane over here, and the horn, and this will become the beautiful tail. Where are we? Okay, let's see here. I am on step 67 of, how many steps are there in the unicorn? A total of 185. So I've got 120 steps to go, basically. and that's not all of them, because a lot of times what these origami books will do is they'll have you go through a really extensive series of folds on one side of the model, and then all they have is a little instruction that's basically and now do those last 20 steps on the other side. So, yeah, who knows? It's probably closer to 250 at the end of the day. I love it, though. There are a few things I enjoy more than doing origami. At the evening, just the end of my day, I get to do something with my hands that's really satisfying. How long have we been streaming here? Is there a timer somewhere? Almost an hour. Hey. If you were on a desert island, which one would you want with you? None of them. If I was on a desert island, those are not the books I would keep. If I was on a desert island and I could only keep one book, if I was on a desert island and I could only keep one Sanderson book, That's a good question. If I was on a desert island, I could only keep one Sanderson book, it would probably be the last book of The Wheel of Time. Or one of his standalone stories. I would hate the idea of having an unfinished story on a desert island. That would drive me crazy. So yeah, it would have to be a finished story that's succinct. You know what book I really loved? There's two books I really, really liked by this author. What's their name? Look up their name so that I give proper credentials. And it's funny because thinking of Sanderson made me think of this, because of the book he wrote, The Emerald Sea. T.J. Klune, The House in the Cerulean Sea. Holy moly, good writing. Some of the best writing I've ever read. And he's got another book that something about whispers under the house, whispers under the door, something like that. But that's, yeah, amazing. My wife introduced me to those books. Love them. Love that author. Okay. Let's see here. My favorite part of this model is the mane. Is this big, beautiful unicorn mane that you get to make. It's awesome. Alright, there we go. Let's get all those folds right. Nice, tight, tippy toes. Turn into hooves later. I've not done a whole lot of folding with washi deluxe paper. So some of this is mistakes because I'm not used to this type of paper. Do you read the Kickstarter books? I haven't read the Kickstarter books yet. I'm probably gonna have to wait till they're audiobooks. I don't really do a lot of physical reading. I've got most of my life with undiagnosed dyslexic stuff, and so I am a very poor reader, and I've done little to improve on that. I still love reading, but it's very difficult for me to read text in huge chunks. I get halfway through a page and realize that I haven't been paying attention to anything that's been happening. Okay, so that folds over. And then open sink along. Repeat on the other side. Oh, I forgot about this. This sink. This might be where this will end my chill. If any of you know what an open sink is in origami, it's so freaking hard. Paulini? Hey, Kaylee! What's up? Oh, Aragon. Yeah, I read the whole Aragon series. I wonder how long it would take. Oops, capitalized. Yeah, I read the whole Aragon series. Hot take. I do think you can tell they're written by a young person. I think it's insanely impressive. Better writing than anything I had ever done. But as a reader, I do think they get a ton of praise because of the circumstances within which they were written, duly so. But I think in the spectrum of like literature I'm going to come back to a dozen times that I can't get enough of, I've never read the Aragon series again. I went through the whole thing. I really enjoyed it. One series that is that I have gone back and reread with dragons and dragon riders is his. I think it's his. Is it His Majesty's Dragon or Her Majesty's Dragons? The Temeraire series. Whew, good. Those ones are good. I think that's Naomi Novik. I think. Yeah, she's good. I like her writing a lot, and I like her storytelling a lot because that whole series is so good and it's so rich and it's so fun and it like the story, like the whole arc of the story comes around so satisfyingly. Yeah, not a whole lot of negative things I'm going to say about the Temeraire series. I went back and re-listened to that multiple times. Probably the only negative critique is I just think that it's not. It's set in the time period of the Napoleonic Wars, and there are dragons. That's really the premise. Is there are in every world power has a basically an air force of dragons, but it's like during the age of ship battles and boarding and like cannons. And so like all that's happening on dragons, like boarding parties, like, but in the air. Like, so like you literally have like whole crews of people who like are harnessed to this huge harness on a ginormous, like bigger dragons than like most fantasies go for, huge dragons, and they will meet in the sky and the dragons will hit each other, and when that happens, people from either crew will jump over and hook onto the enemy harness and start fighting them with swords and guns. I mean, it's the coolest. It is the coolest. How do you spell the title of that? Just go His Majesty's Dragon, Naomi Novik. Or Her Majesty's Dragon. I know how to say Tamaria, but I don't know how to spell it. Not off cuff. It is so fun, and the premise of the lead character's story is that he's like a ship captain, something like that. Like he's got an excellent career. He's getting ready to like stop traveling in sea. He's going home. There's a woman that he's gonna marry, and like he's got this whole life set out for him. But on his like last mission, basically, or some kind of, on his last mission before getting back home, and that all his life really taking into the next step, he encounters a ship, like a ship, a French ship at sea. They do battle. They capture the ship, and aboard the French what was it? Yeah, it was like aboard the French vessel or something was I think a Chinese dragon egg, like that nobody knew, like a dark dragon egg, and it's, hey Cass, and it hatches and bonds to Lawrence, the captain guy, and sets his whole life on fire. And the relationship between Tamaria and Lawrence is wonderful. It's like one of the most like interesting dynamics, because it vacillates into different, it takes different shapes. The relationship between the two of them takes different shapes as the story evolves, and you start to like uncover layers of the world building, from like, magical mount and rider to like child and father to like friends to like peers to like unknown different creatures of each other, you know what I mean, that are struggling to like work together. It's so good. Good Lord. Why men write it all? Just kidding. My favorite authors are women, though. It really, like Agatha Christie, Ursula K. Le Guin, Naomi Novik. Yeah. I do love Brandon Sanderson, though. I'm a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. I'm also a fan of Brian Staveley's work. This is not family-friendly content. Brian Staveley's books, but they're really well written. The Emperor's Blades. I've reread that series multiple times. That trilogy. The Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne. Dude, I can throw down fantasy book with anybody. You gonna go toe-to-toe fantasy book with me? Let's go. I can talk magic systems. I can talk dragons. And every single book I'm talking about has an audiobook. You need to understand right away that if I'm talking about a series, there's an audiobook version of that series. Yeah, and that's why, so like I'm bad at concentrating too. That's why I think the books that I enjoy, the audiobooks I enjoy the most, are the ones that are very dialogue heavy, like Sanderson's books. The Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne trilogy, that one's also very dialogue heavy, and the reader does such a good job of creating interesting voices with the characters. Yeah, Brian Staveley is really good. Let's see here. I learned the word viscera from his books. That gives you some idea of the rating. Just because of how many books he has. At the same time, Kaylee, though, like, there are several fantasy book series with authors that are not finishing them. Like, really, really good books that have not finished yet. And it's like, they're only like one or two books in. So, like, it's do you want a writer that's never going to finish your story? Says the guy whose podcast has been stuck in season 3 for 3 years. Or do you want Brandon Sanderson, who's coming out with books all the time? Yeah, that was such an accidental call out on myself. Good Lord, Joshua. Oh no. What have I become? Oh. You guys are welcome to judge as you like. It's not going to affect me. Somehow it's still getting, like, new people are still finding the series. It does make me giggle that, like, the majority of our negative reviews anywhere are just that we're not putting out enough episodes, are that they're coming out too long in between. That's true. If you guys didn't like me, you just wouldn't be here right now. So streaming for over an hour now. Made some good progress on the Origami Unicorn. You can look it up if you'd like. It's a super challenging model. I am on how many pages have I done so far? 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on page 7, I think, of the model, step 70, and there's over 100 steps left to go before this guy becomes a beautiful unicorn with a golden horn. But thank you everyone for joining. I'm probably going to end the stream here. And before I end, any questions? Any questions for me about Titans, about anything? Oh, that's awesome. You finished season 1? Well done, Elizabeth. Throwback to the mini painting stream days. That was on my personal channel, but that was really, really fun. I did really like those miniature painting, and for some reason, I think one of those is one of my most viewed. The one where I go through the steps of painting an alligator guy, and that one has like more views than most of my other videos, which is not a lot of views. Yeah, good to hang with everybody. So yeah, maybe I'll do this from time to time. Maybe I'll have a wider shot so you can see the origami that I'm working on if I'm doing origami. It's just the easiest thing to do. The other thing I have is these... this is this was a gift Kels got me a while back, but it's called Foldology, and it's like these squares that they're just... The goal is to make a smaller square, and the final square will have these purple or black or gray, like check mark squares. It'll be one finished square of that, and I think I have I have a finished one here. And this is Foldology 3, and I already finished Foldology 1 and Foldology 2. So Foldology 3 is super hard, so they give you 2 copies of every fold. So there's this one with the panda, if you can see that. I don't know how clear that's coming through. And that's what it ends up like. You end up with one side is the check marks, and one is this. So legitimately, I love doing these. I do them like while at work. If I'm on a call and I'm just listening, I'll be doing it just listening. I'll do it while I'm watching. If like Star Trek, if I'm watching Star Trek, I'll just be folding these and listening to Star Trek. Yeah, I love origami, guys. I love origami so much. I wish there was a bigger market for origami. I wish more people were interested in origami, and I could just talk about origami all the time. I wish I could commiserate about sink folds. I have like, I'm at the point now where I'm starting to think about making my own origami designs and like, what does that look like? I've read 3 books about like unique processes for folding origami, and so I have like spare paper I just am constantly fiddling with and folding and seeing what comes out. Cass, if you're gonna do origami sometime, I mean, like a book I could not recommend enough is Dancing in the Flowers, I think is what it's called. Here, hold on. I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back. Give me one moment, everybody. Just one moment. I'll be right back. Okay. I have returned. I mean, maybe not. There are some designs in here that are easier than others. So this. I also don't know if there's a digital version, so probably not a good recommendation for your students. But it's a really good origami book. Produced by the it's produced by the origami. I think the Origami Shop helped publish it, but it comes from the Chinese Origami Group, and it is just awesome. I think I've done almost every. There's maybe 2 or 3 models I haven't done in this book because they're just so advanced and they don't have very detailed instructions. But yeah, they're beautiful. This is a wonderful origami book. But if you're looking for origami material, highly recommend you do not just grab an origami book from Amazon. Go to the Origami Shop. It's I think it's based out of France, but it's origami-shop, and they have digital books you can purchase. And there you have to change the website to English. You have to have Google change it to English, but yeah, you can search for intermediate books, easy books, difficult books. They produce all the paper that I fold with at this point is I order from there. As it's just, if you're working with high school students though, just get that paper cheap. Get that paper cheap from somewhere. But like, yeah. Anyhow, when I go nerd on something, I go so hard. When I hyper focus on specific designs, I can only remember like 3 to 5 at any given time. Oh yeah, I don't memorize any of the designs. They're too big. I'm folding stuff now that has like, over 100 folds. I would never memorize that. It's fun. I do feel like at this point when I'm working on it, I can kind of like follow the thought of the designer and be like, okay, that's why you did this, or this was why this decision was made. And sometimes I'll just do it different than how they say in the instructions because I just have a way I've found I prefer to fold certain issues. But yeah, ADHD, baby. It's a superpower and a curse, but mostly it's a superpower. Yeah, awesome. Man, now there's 10 people here. I'm getting ready to like shut down, and people are just showing up now. Um, uh, hold on, this sentence. I think my wall I hit with origami was making the folds first, and then folding and using the folds you made before to collapse the paper. Oh man, a collapse is hard. A collapse is hard. There's some of my favorite are the this is a very like American origami opinion, but like the what are they called? It's like almost mathematical, where you it's like very much folding in squares, and so you have what you end up folding. It looks almost like a picture frame that you then squash on itself. There's a whole name for it if I could remember off the top of my head, but yeah. Hey, Logan, thanks for hanging out. Best of luck putting kids to bed. That is a hard thing to do. Well, thanks for jumping in, everybody. I'm going to be shutting it down, but you're welcome to look back. There was no crucial information in this stream. It was literally just me hanging out with everybody. We talked about fantasy books. I did, maybe like 15, 20 steps on an origami model I'm working on for fun. End of the day, end of the week. So I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful week. We talked about Titans a little bit, not a ton. We didn't dive in super deep, but maybe that's something we can do at a later date. I'm not putting any kind of schedule out for streaming. I do think this would be fun to do again, just to hang out. And I'll try and if I know I'm gonna try to do a stream, I'll shoot a heads up to everybody beforehand to try and give people more time. But yeah, great to hear from everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Have a wonderful night. Seriously, like, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being interested in what we're doing with Titans and all of that. And keep your ears out for more D&D stuff. We're actively trying to find time to record the final episodes for season 3, and we don't know when that will be yet, but we're working on it. And the first people who know will be the Patreon people and the Discord folk. So feel free to jump in either of those places. You don't have to support us unless you'd like to and you're financially capable. And then after season 3's done, I don't know what's next. I don't know that if I'm ready to be done with Altera as a whole and just start doing another game of some kind, or a new podcast or something. So we'll see. I don't know yet. I know that I don't think I plan on abandoning the podcast feed. If I do something different, or if we do something different, I don't think I'm gonna like create a whole new podcast feed for it. I think I'll just rebrand from it just being like the Titans of Altair to something more generic, and then the Titans will be just one of the series under that. So yeah, some random thoughts, but it's all that to say, like, yeah, stuff's coming. There's a couple different shows I'm guesting on that'll be coming out sometime in the next year, so keep your eyes out for those. And be kind to one another. Operate gently with other humans in the world. So I think we could always use more of that. Being careful and considerate. Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Wonderful night. And thanks for hanging out.